Today, what we're going to be talking about is animal Reiki. That's going, because we've talked about kind of all of the other lineages and, or not lineages, all of the other Reiki energies that we practice. And so animal Reiki is one of those as well. So, I think we'll wait until next week till Colleen's here to talk a little bit more about the history of animal Reiki, but just kind of a brief summary of it. Many people have been practicing animal Reiki forever. I know before we started teaching this lineage of animal Reiki, all of us authors, we all practiced animal Reiki in our own ways, just using our existing Reiki energy. And that is a beautiful practice. We absolutely honor that. We honor, other teachers that have come before us, like Kathleen Prasad. We know she's been a pioneer in animal Reiki, teaching so many and doing, tools and techniques and just beautiful animal Reiki practice, and done a lot for animal Reiki. And so if you practice animal Reiki already in your own way, again, we absolutely honor that. This is just one lineage and one style of animal Reiki. And if you're called to it, wonderful. And if you're not, that's okay too. That's also beautiful and wonderful. So the animal Reiki that we teach is the ICRT animal Reiki training. And there are, two different levels. We have a Reiki 1 and 2, and then we have an animal Reiki master class. Myself, Colleen, Pam Allen LeBlanc, and Sue Strong are the authors of the animal Reiki course and the manual. So there's a lot of history on how this all came to be. We have all had lots of experience with animals and Reiki. Pam and Sue and Colleen and myself, or especially Sue, is really an animal Reiki or an animal expert. Pam too, she's owned a farm forever. And so there's a whole series of events that came to be on how that all happened. But I would actually prefer to kind of talk a little bit more about the energy of the animal Reiki courses. So one thing to know is that the animal Reiki energy is actually its own energy. So in the classes, in the 1 and 2, you receive a placement style of an attunement. And in the master course, you receive an ignition style of an attunement. And for those of you that are familiar with Holy Fire, it's kind of done in a similar style, where we do placements and ignitions as our style of attunements. So it's its own frequency of energy. And so the classes, they of course have tons of tools and techniques and different things that you can learn and use when it comes to, actually being an animal Reiki practitioner or an animal Reiki teacher. But the one thing that was kind of surprising to us, because when we started out, we just thought it would be a course for tools and techniques, but it's actually its own frequency of Reiki energy. And you receive a symbol. You receive a symbol in the 1 and 2 course, as well as the master course. And the symbol, it's similar to like the Karuna Reiki symbols, where we can say them out loud, is called the Tree of Life Animal Reiki symbol, and the Tree of Life Animal Reiki energy. And so, we spent a lot of time in journey states to receive the information about the animal Reiki energy. We have really worked with the divine animal kingdom to help manifest, because really this is their work and Reiki's work and the animal Reiki energies work to help manifest the energy and the course and all of the things that go with that onto the planet. The divine animal kingdom are the divine representation of the animal kingdom here on earth. And they really taught us a lot about the animal Reiki energy and the tree of life. Not only just being the symbol, but not just being the symbol, but also like the, kind of the fundamental frequencies of the energy. And so we were wondering at the time, why is it a tree? Why wouldn't it be, like a paw or something that kind of is a bit more animal? We were all really, really surprised when we were listening for this. And we went through so many journeys and so many iterations of what the symbol would be like, to kind of like, it's an interesting process to take this system of energy and kind of narrow it down into one symbol. And so we were all kind of surprised. We have all had connections to the tree of life. Many of you have a lot of connection to the tree of life. I know that there's a lot of work around the tree of life and spiritual modalities. All of us have, like, even I think it's Pam and Sue both have tree of life tattoos. So, we all had a really big connection with the tree of life in general. And so we asked it, we said, why are you a tree? Why is this what is as the symbol, is part of and why are you a part of the energy? And it told us that there's a lot of reasons why it's the tree of life. But one of the big ones is that it is, first of all, something that as humans we can understand. We connect in with trees. We understand trees. We understand the tree of life in general. But also because it is a bridge between the animal and the human world. It's used for shade. It's used for food. It's used for shelter. It's a commonality that we have between the animal and the human animal world. And that understanding, that deep understanding of the tree of life within, like our human context. But then animals also use the tree and use the tree of life as a part of their world. It's a home to many, it's shelter to many, it's protection, it's food, it's a food source. And so there's a lot to do with the tree of life, but that was one of the kind of most surprising answers as to like, oh, that's why it's a tree. The other really interesting thing that is a part of the animal Reiki energy is this concept of unification consciousness. And unification consciousness, the animal Reiki energy was brought through the holy fire energy. Now, the energy was very specific, and the divine animal kingdom were very specific that it's open to all lineages. So you are able to take it if you are not holy fire lineage. And so it was very definite about that. But it definitely kind of came through the holy fire energy, and we can kind of associate that with the fact that the attunement process are like the similar processes of the attunements in holy fire, placements and ignitions. And so unification consciousness is also a part of the holy fire energy, as many of you know. But the unification consciousness as part of the tree of life and the animal Reiki energy has a lot of different ways in which it brings forth unification consciousness, not only to us, but also for our planet, and bringing it to the planet. So within ourselves, it really helps to unify our human spirit with our divine spirit. That love, bringing back that love of our human nature and our human spirit, releasing layers that kind of brought us to this place where we are in the place of human shaming. And that also extends down to ourselves and loving that pure human spirit. And, you know, also just recognizing that as humans, we're part of the animal kingdom. We are animals as well. And in the placement process, you take your place among the circle of the animals, because we're the human beings in the circle. And so it helps to remember that part of ourselves, our beautiful human spirit. It also helps to heal within the unification consciousness. It helps to heal that idea that humans have dominion over the earth, which is a very ancient belief system that has been brought down through religion. It helps to heal that. And instead, it helps to reveal our communion with the earth, living in communion with the earth. And healing that belief is really interesting because, you know, I know as a part of Holy Fire, it really helps to heal your religious wounding, heal your religious trauma. And I would say that the animal Reiki energy, this tree of life Reiki energy, helps to heal that part of it on another level, helps to heal that belief in dominion. And it's really interesting because when we were working with this part of it, you know, when we started out, Sue and Colleen had been working on the animal Reiki for a few years before they brought Pam LeBlanc and myself into the picture. And we did this 4-day intensive. And as we started, you know, just out of the goodness of our hearts, we're like, here's a gift to the animals. We are placing a gift upon the animals. And this energy is a blessing upon the animals, thinking, you know, like in our heart of hearts, like many of you, we just want to save the animals. And so that was where this, you know, that's part of where this came from in our heart intentions. And when we were in this 4-day intensive, the animals were like, wait, excuse me. They have quite a bit of humor. Actually, we save you as much as you save us. This is an exchange. This isn't a gift upon, this is an exchange. And until you heal yourselves, you're not going, it's going to be a lot more challenging to help heal the significant problems that we have on the planet. It's going to be a really big challenge that if you're not coming from a healed place and understanding that it's not humans, you know, gifting upon, blessing upon, and in fact, we are equals, or even we might even be above here, blessing you, that dynamic isn't going to change. That part of it is still that part of dominion over, as opposed to living in communion with. And so it heals that. It heals separation from just even, you know, I mean, it's not even just our planet and that idea that we are animals too. It heals separation from within ourselves, kind of that remembering. So many people who take the class talk about it's got a home energy. Like when I was attuned to this, there was a sense of belonging, a sense of home, that this energy brings out within ourselves. It reveals that within ourselves. And so much of that is healing these really big culturally created beliefs. And, I know it's also not bypassing the significant things that we need to shift in our humanity, right? But Einstein said something along the lines of, was it? The significant problems that we have cannot be solved at the same level of thinking with which we created them. So we need to heal this part of ourselves in order to change that level of thinking, empower solutions, empower communion, empower love frequencies. And this animal Reiki energy helps that shift. It helps to love ourselves. Colleen says this frequently. When we love ourselves, we will create from that belief. And there's some of this stuff that we don't even know that we have. We can be in our practices of self-love and not realize that we have this entire culturally created parts that is hard to kind of wade through with this human shaming and and this dominion kind of perspective. And so that is also a part of the animal Reiki energy, is really healing that and revealing your divine human spirit here on earth. And the tree of life, when you think about what a tree is, right? The roots receive from the earth, and the branches receive from above. It receives from the sky, and it has breath, through photosynthesis. It has breath, and it has this trunk that is this channel of energy that receives from both, and it meets somewhere in the middle. And it's really beautiful because if I'm sure many of you have seen those kind of memes that have floated around with the thumbprint that looks like a tree rings, and those pictures that show branches of a tree. They look like, lungs. They look like I can't think of the word right now, but they look like the things that go through the lungs, and it looks like the veins that like run through placenta. And so there's also such these beautiful commonalities with us and the tree and all life. And the other really cool thing about the tree of life is that and this one was like, kind of not surprising at all. None of it surprised us after a little while, but it was just so fascinating that when we knew that the energy was going to be the tree of life symbol, and we are kind of continuing to learn about that. And speaking of unification consciousness, what's really fascinating about the tree of life is that it is, as we know, it's an ancient energy. It's an ancient symbol. It is been, it's, many of us are familiar with kind of what we think of like the Celtic tree of life. But the tree of life is actually present through most major religions, spirituality, from like even our present ones, and I'm saying present, I'm talking, the Abrahamic religions, to the ancient ones. So in the Eastern belief systems, there are, which are, even older than that, it's present in the Eastern belief systems and the Eastern religions. It's present in old religions. So it's present in Egyptian, it's present in even before that. And so it was really fascinating to us to see that. And in like pretty well, I mean, obviously we can't research every single one that's on the planet because there's a lot. But what's really fascinating is that in almost every single one that we were able to like read more about, it was a similar concept of the tree, the branches of as the heavens or the divine, however you want to, consciousness, however you want to define that, and the roots as the earth, and that trunk being the part that is the unification of both. It also was, and so many of them, first of all, it's creation story, and in many traditions. So that's a really neat thing, because it's part of creation story, whether or not it's the actual creation story, because it is in some. It's part of the creation story of many spiritual belief systems and religions. As source of food was really a really interesting one. There's a beautiful belief system, and I forget exactly off the top of my head, about the fig tree, and because figs are fascinating fruits. I don't even know if they're categorized as that. I won't get off on that tangent. But the source of life of the fig tree. And so there is just these commonalities throughout ancient belief systems. And the fact that, like, we can have all of this come through, and then find out that it's like it's a commonality is so beautiful. And that too is part of the unification consciousness, because it's a part of kind of human belief system, and that honoring of tree, that has taken place throughout human belief systems, and helping humans to kind of answer the greater questions to life, the universe, and everything. So I see lots of chats. Sorry, I wasn't able to keep up with it. Yes, bronchial. Thank you. Thank you, Peyton. And for some people that have taken the animal Reiki energy, Danny, I don't know if there's anything that you, or the animal Reiki courses, if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I didn't know you were going to talk about it, and I went and put my Tree of Life necklace on this morning.
I love it.
Yeah, one of the things about animal Reiki that I really love is it's so different than human Reiki. I learned a lot. And so I think that was the biggest thing. I didn't think, I'm a Karuna Reiki master, so I thought, what more can I learn? And it was completely new information about safety and empathy, especially. Working with animals is just, that much different than working with people. And also you're working with people when you're working with the animals. So I use animal Reiki every day. I mean, every day I see a bird, every day I am driving and I see a dog in the car next to me. And it's wonderful. And Reiki, or animal Reiki sessions, to me are just amazing how they work, and it's distance a lot. And so it's just really interesting how it works with the animals.
Yeah, so true. Thanks, Danny. It is. It's, I mean, I think it's kind of like when you take your first Reiki 1 and 2 class, and you go in thinking, I'm going to learn how to do Reiki for people. And then over the course of the 1 or 2 days, depending on how you took the class, you have just this amazing and unexpected healing. You're going to take it out into the world for others. You're going to take it out into the world for the animals in your own life, or if you're a practitioner. But during the 2 days, you just receive an extraordinary amount of healing for yourself. And that, I think, is kind of the most surprising thing that kind of comes out of the class. That we hear that a lot, is that it was surprising on how much it's like you said that, or like I said, that's kind of just sense of home that the energy brings in. I know I saw somebody in the chat put that they use it in their human sessions. And I mean, it's a part of kind of every session. I call it in as a part of my invocation. But where I really see it come in is those clients, again, that, you know, maybe don't necessarily feel like they get this human stuff anyways. What is this human stuff anyways? It really can kind of bring them into that connection with the planet and connection with being human. And also, again, in that kind of loving space of being human. So, yeah, and as somebody else put, the tree of life, Benjamin put, the tree of life is a symbol that speaks to me more clearly than any other symbols. It sticks around a lot in everyday life. Yeah. And, you know, and then it's like I've talked a lot about what it does for us, and the energy, but what it also does for the animals is amazing as well. You know, animal Reiki energy is the same as human Reiki energy, that it helps us, it helps the animals with the physical, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual things that they need. Of course, it's a complementary modality. So it's complementary, of course, to any, you know, vet or medicine or behavioral therapy, anything like that. But what's really interesting is one of the things that it actually happened to me with one of my dogs. I had two dogs and one of them loved Reiki. This is before this whole animal Reiki course and kind of energy came through. One of them loved Reiki and the other, you know, didn't dislike it, but could kind of take it or leave it. And one of the things that we see with this energy is that animals who may be in that latter category of, you know, I'm just not that interested, actually really respond to this Reiki energy. And my dog who didn't necessarily, you know, have any response or connection to it, actually really started to love Reiki through this energy. And so that's a really neat thing that we've seen pretty commonly with it as well. And, you know, as Danny said, it can help with your empathy, because as we know, that's a big thing, especially when it comes to the animals. Many of us, myself included, have almost more empathy for animal stuff than we do human stuff. And so it can also help with that, so that we can reach more animals, so that we can work with more animals and offer more Reiki to the animal world. Oh, the other really neat thing, real quick, and then we'll go into the invocation, that's really interesting about it, and it's kind of like bringing back to like the unification consciousness, is that many people are willing to do things for their animals that they're not necessarily willing to do for themselves. And that's something that we have found with the animal Reiki and just, you know, animal Reiki in general. So it's not just with this energy. This is true for all animal Reiki, that, you know, you can get people that may be very skeptical of Reiki for a variety of reasons, as we know, all the different reasons that people are skeptical of Reiki, but they're willing to try it for their animal, and it kind of opens them up to these concepts. And we found that quite a few times with this animal Reiki, or with Reiki, you know, doing Reiki on animals. Very, very interesting how that works. And so it's just, you know, the love of animals kind of extends through all belief systems all over the world. And so that's another kind of really fun part about animal Reiki, but it's I think part of a reason why this unification consciousness is a part of the animal Reiki energy, because that's just a part of all animal Reiki, that it can really bridge gaps. So yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks, Danny. Somebody asked the time period. If you take, so you have to be attuned to the level of human Reiki that you do animal Reiki. So if you're 1 and 2, then you can take animal Reiki 1 and 2. There's no wait period. If you're a human Reiki master, you can take animal Reiki master. There's no wait period. So.